right, you want to talk Nuke Hopkins?
Yeah.
He's been traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a 5th-round pick that could become a 4th. Now the 3rd big-name receiver traded in 2 weeks here. Amari Cooper to the Bills, Devontae Adams to the Jets, and now DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs from the Tennessee Titans. Titans, of course, already falling out of contention here as we head into Week 8 of the NFL. And the Chiefs with injuries to Rashee Rice, Pacheco in the backfield, but Juju Smith-Schuster right now at receiver, and really continuing to have the worst passing attack they've ever had under Patrick Mahomes, just like last year, needed to make a move.
Yeah, and they made a move at a position that makes sense in terms of the specific wide receiver they're looking for, right? They lose Hollywood Brown before the season. They lose Rashee Rice, obviously, for the year with that knee injury. They then lose Juju Smith-Schuster for a period with a hamstring, I think his is. So they're down that move the chains slot receiver, and that sounds like what they want to do with Nuke Hopkins, which makes a ton of sense because I think that's basically what he's best positioned to do now. I still think he's capable of having that kind of Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster type of impact in that offense, being the chain mover. Like, you watch his tape now, he can still definitely play. I think when he was traded to Tennessee, you watched his tape and you're like, he's a really good receiver. The only thing that's missing now is the ability to kind of scare anybody deep, right? He doesn't have that over-the-top type of speed. Now, he can still win jump passes deep, and he can still, win against deep coverage, but he's not going to separate running those deep vertical route patterns. Now, that's still gone. I think he's also lost some explosion off the line. Like, you watch him, just his release is not as potent as it used to be. So it's more of a kind of build up off the line, but he still understands where to go, how to exploit zone coverage, still can separate against man coverage at the top of the stem. When he's making his break, he can still separate and get open. So I think it's a really good move for Kansas City. Plus, it didn't cost them much. Right. Tennessee's eating some of his salary. Like the other parts of it, it's a cheap deal. And I think for a player that makes a ton of sense given what they're missing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, the Chiefs are 6-0. Saw people talking about it this week. What a fascinating offense they have. They're the success rate stat. For those who aren't familiar, essentially, if you get 5 yards on 1st and 10, it's considered a successful play. And so that stat is just the percentage of plays that are successful. 5 yards on 1st down, half of what you need on 2nd down, and then converting on 3rd or 4th down are all considered successful plays by most accounts in the success rate formula. Well, the Chiefs have one of the best in the league. And if you're watching them, you kind of feel that, right? 5-yard runs here and there, little 5 yards, 8-yard screens, dump offs, underneath passes. They are very much staying on schedule. And even Brady did their game on Sunday, and that's what he kept talking about. He's like, they just don't have negative plays. If they run the ball, it's for 3. They don't have a lot of negative 2-yard runs. Mahomes doesn't take a lot of sacks. So they just keep moving forward. But clearly there's an explosive element in this offense that's been missing, not just this year, but last year as well. They found it, of course, in the playoffs, or they had enough of it in the playoffs to make that run. But some sort of downfield element. And that doesn't have to be 40 yards. But now you have DeAndre Hopkins, who I think can win in the 10 to 20-yard range pretty well, at least win in that intermediate range. Travis Kelce can still get open. He's not as explosive as he was before. I think even after he gets open, he's not going to create massive plays after the catch as much as he used to. But I think you've got 2 savvy veterans in Kelce and Hopkins who can get open or at least create enough separation. I don't know how Hopkins does in all of the separation numbers. Probably not great, but he knows how to separate late to catch the ball, which is most important. And then that opens up things for Xavier Worthy. We just saw Xavier Worthy wide open behind the defense on Sunday. Mahomes missed him. I think there'll be more opportunities for Worthy to just do that, right? To just get open down the field and create some of those 50, 60-yarders that the offense has been missing. So
yeah, it's slightly awkward because they do still need that vertical threat, and that obviously has to be Xavier Worthy given the skill set of everybody involved. And you kind of need to manufacture those vertical shots from Xavier Worthy, like lining him up just on the outside as an X receiver against press coverage. We saw Cam Taylor-Britt and the Bengals. You can kind of take that away. You need to get him the free release. You need to figure out how to get him running before anybody gets a chance to get their hands on him and neutralize his speed. So now you're in this world where you've got to sort of make that work along with lining up your other high-end players as slot weapons. Like Travis Kelce is effectively a slot weapon. Nuke Hopkins is going to take that Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster role in the slot, and the vertical threats need to come from the slot. So you're almost in this Buffalo world where nobody belongs outside, right? And you're going to have to sort of figure out how to make that work with stacked formations or bunches or switch releases or whatever it is. It's a little bit more awkward than ideal, but the pieces are there for it to all function.
And for DeAndre Hopkins, I'm just looking at deep passes here. Will Levis, 5 of 15 on 20-plus yard throws, while Patrick Mahomes, he's 5 of 13. So you're going to a better quarterback situation by a couple passes here. So, yeah, good move by the Chiefs, I think, to add Nuke Hopkins to the mix. And I think he still has enough left to improve their offense.
Yeah, and the alternative option, people were talking about Cooper Kupp, who's theoretically on the trade block at the moment.
Dynamite segue.
And the Chiefs apparently were interested, were kicking the tires. Kupp's just much more expensive, probably in both ways, like draft or compensation, draft picks, and the contract that they would have to pick up. And the Rams, I don't think, are particularly keen on eating a ton of that money the way Tennessee were supposedly willing to do for Hopkins. So it's just more expensive in every way. Like, would Kansas City have preferred Cooper Kupp over Nuke Hopkins in a vacuum if it was just, would you like one of these two players? Yeah, I would think so. But it's going to be more costly in every capacity, so they don't want it.
And two different types of players, obviously. Nuke Hopkins now the outside winner. I mean, if teams play man coverage against the Chiefs, it takes pressure off Andy Reid, the play caller, and it's like, hey, we could just throw one up to Nuke when they play man. And you mentioned he knows how to get open against zone, but he's going to do it more on the outside. Kupp is going to do that in the middle of the field.
Yep.
Feel free to correct any analysis we had on DeAndre Hopkins, fits for Cooper Kupp. Is there anything that comes to mind?
No, I mean, you guys did make some, actually. I think the D-Hop trade to Kansas City was an excellent move. The one thing that you talked about a little bit was not only the draft compensation, but how much money is the team that is trading the player willing to take on. So a team that's acquiring that player. And I've been in situations where, hey, we'll even give you maybe just a tad higher draft pick if you eat the rest of this guy's salary, because we can't fit it in and we don't want to take the any more cash into our budget. So you take the whole salary and maybe we'll bump up a what if. So it goes from a fourth to a fifth or whatever that would be, fifth to a fourth or whatever that would be.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.